Warrior X Pro. Today I wanted to share how to fix that cracking noise that happens in the stand and the scooter meanwhile we're riding. And it's because sometimes it gets the chocks in the front start leaking oil and then it reaches to the joints and that start movement and that makes the stand cracks or simply the spring is not lined up properly in the inner part of the chock. So we're gonna learn how to fix that today. It's very simple, so just follow steps how I'm going to be doing this, and hopefully you can fix it as well. Let's begin. Put your scooter so the tires are fully in the air. Start by loosening the bolts on the folding mechanism and remove the brackets all the way up and fold the scooter. And as we can see, there is traces of oil that will definitely make the screws loose and as well uh, the joints become loose as well. By touching the joints, we can identify if it's actually oil traces around. Once you find the choke that is leaking, clean it properly and begin unscrewing the side bolts with two Allen keys. Here, pay attention how I'm going to move the stands so they are released completely off the suspension forks. Keep moving gentle and never use a hammer and hammer any part of this. I generally like to mark the parts that I'm going to be moving, especially if are screws, so I can tell if actually there's something wrong with it. So do the same, clean it up properly and then mark it. So you can see the stem is actually really marked as a scratching on that, and it's due because of the actually the oil making loose parts, and then it's obviously it's gonna move. Now with this is the way how using an Allen key, as we can see how loose it was that. Now I'm going to put a lot of pressure to it and we can see how it moves a little bit. So that's enough for actually for the oil to escape and come out. So you can see now going back it's going to be a little hard because it's already tight. But I'll get it out. And this way you guys can see that inside there, inside the, the pipe there is oil and inside there also is the spring. So by doing these turns, you need to do this, even though if just open it a little bit, clean it up, and then um, screw it back in because this will help the spring also to be to get positioned by itself. So now we screw it back and tighten it really properly. Now we're going to loosen up the bolts and the sides of the bridge that it holds the two stands of the suspension together. So we're going to loosen up just the one that actually we need to actually align, because as remember we moved a little bit the top part of it, so it's not going to be aligned with in the position that it needs to be, so it fits in the top part of the stand. It is one bolt in each bridge, okay? Just loosen them. And now align the fork with the loosened screws just a little bit, move it a little bit, and that should be Okay, move it in the direction that is need to be to align and make it straight. Don't worry about the breech screws. We loosen them up. We're gonna tie them up after we have installed the top part of the stand. Now let's take a look how small it was. I mean, what it moved, but that was enough for the oil to come out. Sometimes he also just with water you reach into it, it'll start cracking. So we need to make sure that all those parts are fully clean and adjusted properly. And this part, pay attention how I'm going to be uh, putting back the top stem. So it's easy for you guys to do it. So it requires a little bit of pressure for it. So if you have two clamps, it'll help you. And I noticed also in some other scooters also this doesn't happen. It goes straight in. But and this scooter and another one that I fixed, um, it was very hard to put them in. But I figured out that with two clamps it's very simple. But it has to be I have to start in that way as I'm doing it. If you start try to do it when meanwhile the it's in a folding position, you might not be able to put it in. But this way it's very simple. It's so easy and no pressure. Don't hammer ever anything. Just always if you have some way to put pressure to it, just go ahead and do that. Another part that is very important is never do things in a rush. Take your time, do it gentle, so you actually do it properly. Align here. We're gonna align the top stem with the bottom forks, so it actually the screws going properly. So you're gonna put the cylinder actually from the outside towards the inside, and the screw is gonna come out from the inside towards the outside. And another thing I wanted to mention also is that sometimes when you are riding and you feel that the shocks compress, but they are not, the motion is not that great. I feel that you get a stuck. So it's because of sometimes it's this the issue, the saying that is not aligned, and then it's putting a lot of pressure to the fork. So it's just it's not that it's damaged the spring or it's something wrong with it. It's I mean it is something wrong that it's not aligned, but it's something that's fixable. So you guys will try to look into this. What you do is simply add a little bit of silicone oil on the bottom part of the chuck, and that will help a little bit. And on top of that, you align by unscrewing the top part of the one that I just did, and either side will help a little bit to get back the spring in position and get it back rolling. Once these screws are fully tight, we're going to proceed to tie it up really thoroughly. Those screws will loosen up to align the front fork. Once you finish tightening up the screws from the bridges, start getting down your folding mechanism brackets, tie them up, put them in position, and that'll be basically all. Make sure they are a little tight and also they're in the right position. And that's about it, guys. Yes, and Kask. Give me likes, subscribe to my channel. Take care.